Rick Dollar with NetRadioDogs.com, and we are at the Song of the Mountains tapings 2016 in March, and we are at Appalachian Mountain Spirits, our sponsor for this type of activity that we have. And got this gentleman, he's got that grin on his face. I don't know why.
I'm not used to that term being used to me, but that's okay.
Yeah. Mr. Steve Gully. Steve, you all right?
Good to see you, Rick.
Yeah, man. Good to have you on the show. Glad we finally are getting to talk to you. Been wanting to speak with you for a little while now. So
glad to be here.
Yeah, you guys ready to go get it in there, huh?
We've got a bunch of guys that love to pick, so we're ready about any time.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Now, when did you start in the bluegrass business?
Well, I started in music in general. I started singing with my dad, Don Gully,
right,
from East Tennessee. I'm from Cumberland Gap, near the National Park over there, just north of Knoxville, and raised around the Knoxville music scene, which was a hotbed for a lot of great people.
And it still is.
And
man, it's still
raised
flying.
up playing country music and bluegrass music and gospel music, and with our family band. And I started singing on stage at age 5. Started singing harmonies at age 7. I sang on my first recording session at age 10, singing harmony with other people. Started picking it at age 12, and then from there just gradually kept on going. And now all these many years later, I'm still doing it. I got on the national bluegrass scene, and after several years at Renfro Valley, Kentucky, at the Renfro Valley Barn Dance, the time-honored great place. I played there for many years and was music director there. And my wife and my dad were still there after I left. But in 1994, early 1994, I took a job with a guy from the Tri-Cities here that a lot of people know named Lawson. I worked with
Lawson.
Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver.
Doyle Lawson? Oh, okay, yeah.
We went out on the road with him.
We know who he is.
I stayed there for about 2.5 years, and had a real good indoctrination in the way you should do things. And I say that because I'm a big admirer of Doyle. He's not only a great friend, but a mentor to me.
He is
to a lot of people.
He's a great person, man. He said a couple of things the night that we interviewed him at his home church.
Right.
And great interview with Doyle. He started at the beginning of his career and just moved right through anybody and everybody he ever played with. And there was 2 or 3 things that he said that still stick with me. And
you always get some snippets that
that's right.
are more life lessons than musical.
That's
a lot of time with Doyle, but he's a good man, and
he is.
I stayed there from '94 to '96, the better part of 3 seasons, and got off the road. Had young children. Got off the road with my music and went back to Renfro Valley. Had a sit-down gig there. Stayed there for about 3 more seasons, and watched my kids grow up a little bit, and had some other music I wanted to make that I couldn't do and be on the road. The last year I was with Doyle, we were on the road 225 days.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
So, it was time for me to slow down just a little.
Yeah.
And we did, and for those 3 seasons, better part of 2.5 years, at home, I was getting calls from my ex-Quicksilver bandmate, Barry Abernathy, about every other week. And he'd say, man, I miss you, and we need to make some music together, and I think we should. I think there's more music for us to make. But I was working on a solo record and working on some other things, and I said, well, the timing will be right now. Let me pray about it, and we'll do what we're supposed to do. And so in 1998, late 1998, the fall of that year, I decided that we would start a band together. And he said, we need one more guy. Who do you think we should have? I said, would you mind calling your buddy Adam Steffey? And I did. And of course, a lot of people know Adam from his years with Allison Krauss. And he's another Tri-Cities guy. But he said, I'm ready to go. He left Allison and was playing with Isaacs at that time.
Wow.
And so we started the group, and I named it the group Mountain Heart. And we started that band. I was there for 8.5 years. Made some great music, and the music started moving a little bit away from the central part of what I wanted to do. So I left in December 2006 and started a band with a guy who had been my friend since age 12. Phil Leadbetter, who's been Dobro Player of the Year many times over.
Yeah, a lot.
And is my buddy. We've been buddies growing up in East Tennessee around Knoxville for all those years. I called him, and he said, let's get us one more guy that a lot of people would know and start a band together. And we did that. We got a hold of Alan Bibey, who is one of the greatest mandolin players in the world, and is awarded has a Gibson signature model mandolin. A lot of people know Alan from all his work with Third Time Out and a lot of groups.
Yeah.
But we started a band together called Grasstowne. It's still going. Phil was ill and has fought cancer and is cancer-free today. We're happy about that. But when he left the band, the mood of that band kind of shifted for me because we've been friends for so long. So
That's
I
right.
went on the road for about 3 years up until the end of 2014 with a lady that I've sung with now for about 30, this makes 31 years, a girl named Delane Bradley, who's been Female Vocalist of the Year 5 times in our music. And traveled with her and did a lot of duet things, sit-down singer-songwriter things with her. But I missed making my own music for me.
Yeah.
And so at the end of 2014, down in the fall, I announced that I was going to start my own band, Steve Gulley and New Pinnacle. My dad's old band was the Pinnacle Mountain Boys, and named after the Overlook at Cumberland Gap. So it's kind of a continuation of that with a lot of new original material and things that we do. And it's proven to be a great move, and the first year's been really good for the band. A lot of chart success nationally and working a lot of the big festivals around the country. And 2016 is looking already like it's going to be a great year for us. And just really, really excited at this late stage for a musician anyway, in a lot of ways. I'm having the most fun ever, and
That's right.
with a lot of kids who are great players, and just having a ball doing my own thing after all this time.
See, that's good though, but you took a lot of that knowledge, and I'm not, tooting anybody's horn, but you've taken a lot of knowledge from a lot of people.
I have.
And you've been really fortunate to get all these different people around you. And, this time in my life, it's the payoff.
Yep.
Because I've was in the radio business and a lot of things like that. Talked to a lot of people, had a lot of people tell me a lot of things that they may not have thought I was listening, but I was.
Same here.
So,
I had a father, my father's still around, thank God, and still playing and singing, and it's great. But my dad, Don, and his band were a pioneering band for the East Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia area, this region.
Right.
He played the Ryman Auditorium and the Grand Ole Opry before I was born, and I grew up with great musicians in my living room.
That's amazing.
And so I didn't have to go hunt somebody, go search out somebody to play music with. I had them in my
living room.
So thanks to Dad, I got to meet the right people. Doyle, as a high school student, my dad would have been 21 when Doyle was a junior in high school. So
amazing.
At Doyle Lawson, and he was in the next county over from us in Sneedville, Tennessee, and he told my dad later on when I first struck up a friendship and met Doyle, and he asked me to come on board. He said, "Don Gully, you don't know how much you've meant to my music." He said, "I followed you around." And he said, "You were inspiring to me." So it's a smaller world than you think, and the bluegrass community is a small, tight-knit community. You and I have spoken about this before.
Right.
It's a special fraternity of people, so if you keep your nose clean and live a good life around, you can do it around good people and great musicians, and have lasting, lifelong friendships, and that's what I've been fortunate in doing.
Well, and just since Tony and I have started what we're doing, I've met people and sitting in the kitchen today, and me and my wife, and the phone rang, and she said, "Who's Dave Atkins?"
Yeah,
I said, Dave's a great guy. And I have people call me all the time.
I produced Dave's first album.
Did you really?
I did.
Well, he's just a great guy, and I've had nothing but positive relationships come out of what we've done, and it just gets better every day.
Well, I'll say this. The bluegrass music scene, and what drew me to it, I've played everything from Led Zeppelin to George Jones, and I like a lot of all of it, okay?
Yeah.
But before playing bluegrass, I chose to play bluegrass because it's so much of not only my personal heritage, but the mountain heritage, the people that I grew up around in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
Everybody and their brother played something.
Yeah.
And you got together all the time and you picked. Dad used to say if you lift up a rock, a banjo player or a guitar player run out from under it in our country. And little did we know that was the most they could afford to live in. At the time, it worked out that way for bluegrass musicians.
I've heard those old sayings.
The big thing is, though, and I'll say this, there's something special, the music that we make, the acoustic music that we make that was really brought over, a lot of it from the British Isles with fiddle tunes and things like that, is so ingrained in the culture of Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, and that southern Appalachian chain of mountains, from the Blue Ridge to the Smokies and the Cumberland Mountains where I live. Those people that settled that country, music was a part of them staying sane in a lot of ways. It was an excuse to get together. And bluegrass music today in our community, I'll say this, is not a lot far removed from that.
No,
not at all. The music's grown, but the people have kept that same spirit about them. I love that.
And they've needed that. They needed that so bad in the situations that they were in.
Right.
And I often heard this story from my grandfather. I'll kind of share this with you. I asked him, I said, Papa, how did you meet Mamaw? And he said, well, every Friday night I used to go put my black suit, my black derby hat on, and take my fiddle, and I'd go to town. And he was walking down the street one night playing his fiddle, and she was sitting on the front porch in a porch swing. You can imagine, you can see this in your mind, and I've tried to visualize it a million times. And he went to town. He tipped his hat at her, was all he did. But when he come back from town, she was still sitting in that swing, waiting on him to come back.
Yep.
He said, I stopped playing my fiddle and I walked over to the fence. And that was that.
From the fiddle to the fence is a pretty good walk.
Yes, sir.
Bashful country boy.
Especially with my papa, you know, he's kind of a little bit of a rouser there, you know. So, but well, I tell you what, man, it's you know, like I said, the way that bluegrass music has shaped a lot of people's lives that I know, I didn't really fully understand until I met guys like you.
Well, it's a big thing, and you know the thing about it is you look back after you've been at it as long as I have, and I've gotten to do things I always hoped were possible, but I never dreamed were.
Right.
And I mean, I've traveled to, I think I counted the other day, 12 countries in Europe, Scandinavia.
Wow.
South America, 3 countries in South America, all over Canada from the Maritimes to the Yukon provinces, and seen a lot of the world. I've gotten to do that. Got to play the Grand Ole Opry nearly 90 times in my life, and at first I just dreamed about maybe getting to play it one time.
Yeah.
So that's bigger than me, and the music has a whole lot to do with that because I'm not smart enough to make all that happen. But the good Lord's looked out after me and blessed me in a lot of ways.
I think so.
With a lot of people around me that showed me the correct way to do things and how to handle yourself in the business world. Because it is part of that too.
That is, it's why they call it a business.
But at the end of the day, it starts with no fella sitting somewhere with a guitar or a fiddle or somewhere playing and singing and writing songs.
That's exactly.
And that's still what keeps me doing it after all this time.
I mean, we still have to. We deal with a lot of PR people and business managers and people like that, and we do have to know what we're doing before they're going to let.
Has to be.
Yeah, let us talk to their client, and we want to be a positive thing in this business, and in order to do that we have to gain a little bit more knowledge about what we're doing every day of our lives.
There's an old saying, old cliche that I've used for years and years, and it's true in life, but it's really true in our music.
Right.
It's good to expand. We had blueprints from Flatt and Scruggs and Monroe and Ralph Stanley, Carter Stanley, and different people who made us all want to play, but when you go out on your own and try to create something new, the key is that I believe that you can't really know where you're going unless you know where you've been.
That's right.
And I believe that in bluegrass in a big way. We still pay homage to the people that made us want to play in our music,
and that's
and then build on that with the things, the new things that we do, because you know, Bill and Roe didn't have a blueprint to go by. Flatt and Scruggs really didn't either. And when they all came together, it just kind of worked.
It did.
And you know, it's no different than American roots music in every genre. I mean, Delta blues are same way.
Same thing.
You go to jazz players, and they grew maybe through conservatories and things like that, but they eventually had to make their own music.
That's right.
There's a lot of people stepping out on faith because you're not going to get rich doing what we do. But you can ask my wife.
It's like that old saying, you know.
But
if you buy a banjo, you may make tens of twenties of dollars.
Make tens of dollars,
and that's
people show up in the ones and tens.
That's right.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's a calling for me. It really is. It's much bigger than just going and playing at a theme park somewhere.
Right.
3 times a day and making really good money. I took a pay cut to go with Doyle because I was at Renfrew Valley Entertainment Center. I was the music director, and I had like 6 jobs. I produced records. I did everything, and I learned a lot from that. But I wanted to prove to myself that I could play the music that I really loved with somebody that I admired.
Exactly.
And so when we went out with Doyle, it proved to me that I could take a few chances and do a few things.
But when he would say something to you, it would mean a lot more to you than if it was just somebody that you didn't have that much respect.
There are still quotes today that I tell my boys that Dad or Doyle told me, and they still stand true because the business climate may change, the world climate may change, but for just a little bit, maybe 2 hours of your night, you can get inside your little safe area and pick and sing for people that care about it. and that's what makes me still want to do it.
That's great.
And I think if you ask a lot of bluegrass people, which you've already talked to, and I guarantee they say the same thing, it's just what I do.
That's right.
And it's not, you can't describe that to anybody that don't get, like you starting out a new venture like you are, and you guys are, and doing this. You step out on faith, and you hope it works.
Yeah.
You hope you throw enough stuff on the wall, some of it sticks. and that's kind of what we do with music every day.
I throw a lot too.
Yeah, we will too. We won't talk about what it is, but you throw a lot of it, right?
Well, Steve, I really look forward to seeing you guys just laying it to it over there, man.
Appreciate it.
I mean, it's going to be a good one.
Thank
I can
you.
tell.
Thank you for having
But
me.
I appreciate you coming and sitting down.
Great talking with you, Rick.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Rick Dollar with NetRadioDogs.com, and once again, I'm with Steve Gully.